So much, Heidi. Let's bring in right now.
I got a problem with our next guest.
Nothing new there.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Get in line.
Well,
I love it.
He stole my title.
What?
Let me finish.
Really?
Yeah.
I stole it?
Well,
Yeah,
that's what
this
she
should be
said.
the title
That's
of
what
my
she says
book.
every day to me.
Not your book. Look.
What? I mean, seriously.
Let
Is
me
that going to be
finish.
yours?
No, I'm joking.
I interrupt her all the time.
Chris.
So
Do you?
She's always saying, "Let me finish."
I
So
can't
let-
imagine you interrupting
This is my
anybody.
problem with him.
So let me start with the important first question
Yeah.
here. Looking, I mean, I've read the book, of course, as you know.
Of course.
3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And so my
All marked up. You highlighted it and everything. It's very nice.
Stop it.
Yeah.
rabbit ear.
Wait.
See,
I'm trying to tell you something.
Yeah, okay. So the question is this: Did you ever get over? Did you get a chance to see Springsteen on Broadway?
I did. I saw him the day after I left office.
Okay.
On Broadway.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What did you think?
So
It
good.
was great.
Was
Yeah.
it like
It was an amazing
done?
thing, and it was a much different experience. And, you know, I've seen him 138 times, so,
Right.
you know, I mean, it's a much different experience than seeing him in a regular show.
We have been busy with our 87 kids and moms and
Sure.
everything else.
Newlywed stuff. You know.
Oh,
Newlywed
yeah.
stuff. So we never unfortunately got a chance to go over and see him, but I saw him on Netflix.
Yes.
And it is
Remarkable.
You guys saw him.
Stunning.
You saw him live.
Yeah.
And he really a lot more talking, a lot more storytelling.
It was like the old shows. Like back in the
old shows.
70s and the 80s, he used to do a lot of that storytelling and stuff, and that's why the concerts ran 4.25 hours, because, you know, he'd go on and tell like a 10-minute story about his father before he would sing Independence Day.
Which, by the way, the dad, I mean, anybody that's loved Springsteen through the years has known a very tortured relationship with his father. I thought the 2 most moving moments were, again, I just watched it on Netflix, were talking about his mom having dementia, which I can relate to, unfortunately, all too well. But his mom still knows how to dance.
Yeah.
He hasn't forgotten how to dance. And then that scene where the dad said, I wasn't there for you, but you've been there for us. And basically said, don't do to your kids what I did to you.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Incredible moment. And it's part of what makes him, you know, an American treasure, because he's willing to open himself up in that way and share his emotions and his feelings with people. And that's, you know, something that makes him special. We Jersey guys are all like that, Joe.
The level of honesty, that he brings to the stage, and I'm sure it's on Netflix, obviously, is striking.
Well, in the admission, he basically says, I'm a fraud.
Yeah.
I've been playing a character. I've never worked in a factory.
I never drove
got
a
my
car.
hands dirty.
Never drove a car.
But then he says, I've been playing a character my whole life, and that character is my dad, who's done all these things.
And he said, yeah, I've been singing about being in factories. He goes, never been there a day in my life. And one of the funny lines was, he goes, I've never worked 5 days a week.
Until now.
Until now. He goes, and I don't like it.
I'm going to show up someplace every day. It's kind of a pain.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Just a personal question.
Sure.
You know, the last couple of years have just been ugly politically. And I know for me, I have thrown myself into baseball.
Yeah.
As far as reading, Mika will tell you in ways that disturbs her, you know, absorbing everything I can about, you know, past World Series, history of baseball. I bet you I watched 90% of the Red Sox games last year. I never had time to do that, but I needed that.
Yeah, a little downtime.
To get away from the ugliness of all of this. And it also helps, of course, that my boys and my girl are also huge Red Sox fans, so I can share that with them. What have you done since getting out of the office? Getting away from the ugliness that is around all of us. Whether you're a reporter, whether you're a politician, whether you're a blogger, whether you're just on Twitter all day. What have you done anything to get away?
Yeah, I mean, it was great because it was my daughter's senior year at Notre Dame. So we made half a dozen trips out to Notre Dame during her senior year for basketball games, and then near the end for a lot of events they had out there surrounding the run up to commencement and commencement. It's just such a special place, you know, and that really made us appreciate, it made me appreciate a lot of things that I'd been missing. When I was doing all this, you know, I was able to relate to my oldest daughter in a way that was different, because, you know, she was 12. when I decided to run for governor, and now she was 21 and graduating from college. And those years were really crowded years, as you guys know, and you understand that. So that was what I really did, was to be able to take time to do that. Yeah.
Can I ask you one more question that I want people on TV to hear, because I think this is so important that Americans understand this. We're friends, actually, with Steve Doocy. And, of course, Steve's over on Fox and Friends. And, of course, we don't, agree politically on where Donald Trump's taken this country. But I asked Steve, we were talking this past weekend, and I said, hey, Steve, I'm just curious, do people come up to you in airports and give you hell? And, do you get attacked? And he said, you know what? People are so sweet. Democrats, liberals. He said, in person, they come up. They may disagree with me, but, they'll joke with me. And he said maybe one time a year. And that's been our experience, too. Maybe,
for the most part.
Maybe one time a year. People come up and they get their opinions. But as far as most people have been just real in person, so sweet. And I think that's what people may not understand in this 24/7 news culture, that Americans, you get out there, like those Texans that went to that funeral yesterday.
Picture that.
I'm telling you, I don't give a damn what anybody says. We are still, and I'm not being hokey here, we're one nation under God. Get people away from their Twitter streams, get them away from Facebook. We are still one nation under God. Didn't you find that as you went to Notre Dame, as you walked out?
And every place I've gone, I have the same experience that you're talking about. 99 out of 100 people are nice and come up to me, and even when they don't agree with me, they come up and they're nice and they say hello. And I think that's what this country has always been, continues to be, and what we have to all strive to make it much better that way. And listen, you know me. I was happy to confront anybody I needed to confront when doing the job that I needed to do. But that doesn't mean that your life has to be a string of nastiness, and that's not.
So, what's your relationship with Trump now, especially after this book has come out? Is he?
I mean, it's pretty much the same, Mika. I mean, I think the book is really
fair.
fair.
Some things where you reveal him to be a little less than knowledgeable.
Well, listen, what I do is I tell the truth about a lot of different things. I also think I show him in the book, through a number of conversations we had, to be a good father and a caring father about his children. And so I think there's a lot more nuance in there about it. But yeah, I'm going to tell the truth, and I tell the truth about the stuff that happened to me during the campaign, the stuff that happened to me in the aftermath of the campaign. I'm not going to pull any punches because, in the end, people need to be responsible for the conduct that they engage in. And that's it. And I'm responsible for my conduct, and everybody else should be responsible for their own.
I'm going to ask you, Governor, about one of the passages in here about Russia that's getting a lot of attention. I'll just read part of it. You talk about Jared Kushner tucking into his typical salad. I guess he's a salad eater. And you say, the president said to Jared, this Russia thing is all over now because I fired Flynn. You say, you start laughing, and you say, sir, this Russia thing is far from over. What did you take that to mean? When you heard the president say that, were you floored by that he actually thought he'd done something productive and pushed Russia aside?
I was floored by the comment by both of them, because then I said, listen, this is far from over. I said, I hate to tell you this, but we're going to be sitting here on because it was Valentine's Day of 2017. I said, we're going to be sitting here on Valentine's Day of 2018 still talking about Russia. And Jared said to me, you're crazy. And I said, no, I'm not crazy. I've run these investigations before, unlike you. I've done this, and I'm telling you that I know Bob Mueller. I said, and I know this Justice Department, and I'm just telling you that it's going to take a long time. And now we're getting up to Valentine's Day of 2019, and we're still talking about it. So what I was trying to say to the president that day was, don't be fooled by what these lawyers are telling you. I saw you had the Ty Cobb quote up there. I mean, when you hire a C-level legal team, which is what he did, who gives you C-level legal advice, and I told him that day also, and I don't remember if I put this in the book or not, but I said to him, listen, there's no way you can make this investigation shorter, but there's lots of ways you can make it longer. And the way you can do that is to keep talking about it and tweeting about it, because every time you do that, prosecutors say, great, more things for us to chase down, more things for us to chase down.
I mean, seriously, obviously I was a low-level civil lawyer. But if one of my clients in a small case, in a small insurance defense case, had done something publicly, I would have picked up the phone and I said, hey, if you want me to continue representing you, you will shut
quiet.
your mouth and keep quiet because you're just helping the other side.
Well,
There was
I can't tell you,
never-
Joe.
Why wasn't there anybody? Well,
No, I just.
why won't Donald Trump has to know that he has done nothing but help Robert Mueller and help those who want harm to come of his presidency.
Joe, I could tell you that must have said this to him 24 times over the last 2 years. You need to stop. You're making this worse. And I say to him, listen, I'm talking about this to you from the perspective of someone who's run these investigations and from someone who's been investigated. Like, you know, I didn't do anything wrong. I got investigated. I know how frustrating that is. Do you think I wanted to keep my mouth shut all during Bridgegate? I didn't. But you know who my lawyer was? Chris Wray. And Chris Wray said to me, you talk, I quit. And I went, I like Chris Wray. I want to keep him around. So I shut up, you know, but I don't think he had people in the beginning, lawyers around him that were strong enough, like Chris was with me, to say, here are the parameters of our relationship. And then secondly, I don't think that I don't think he has the capacity on this score to listen to good advice because he knows I'm giving him good advice. He knows I know what I'm talking about.
So let me ask you a second question.
Yeah.
That's so frustrating.
So listen, we've said it every day. We don't think the guy's up to the job of being president of the United States. He's ignorant when it comes to politics. He's ignorant when it comes to the art of a political
I hadn't
deal.
heard that that was your opinion.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
shocked
our,
to hear that.
that's our opinion.
It's a revelation.
But you would at least think that a guy that has been through as much as he has been through over 40 years of his lifetime would know if you're in trouble, you get the best legal team around you. I mean, to me, that's the biggest shock.
But I also think part of the problem, Joe, as because he showed himself to
because I just want for the viewers what I'm following up on what you said before. He's had one of the worst legal teams around him possible.
C-level legal team.
And Rudy. Listen,
What's
we
going
all
on
loved
there?
Rudy
What's going on
as
there?
America's mayor.
What is going on?
But Rudy's lost about 12 steps.
Well, let's see what Chris says.
Listen, a couple of things. Go back to the beginning, and then I'll get to Rudy.
Yeah.
First is that I think that because the president has shown himself to be less than a compliant client, that a lot of the really great lawyers in America didn't want to represent.
They won't work with him.
Right.
Like Chris Wray said to you, you talk, I quit.
That's right. And I don't. So I think a lot of them anticipated that was not going to be complied with and just said thanks, but no thanks. And as far as Rudy goes, listen, I think that Rudy's role has been not to be a lawyer, but to be a spokesperson, to be out there and be a fighter for the president. And you can argue whether he's been effective or ineffective. I think sometimes he's been effective, sometimes he's been ineffective. But I don't think that what he's been sent to do is to be a lawyer.
Yeah, but
I think Jay Sekulow and Emmett Flood are doing that.
You saw Rudy after 9/11.
Oh,
okay.
listen.
How sad is it seeing Rudy Giuliani tarnish his reputation?
So what it is to me is that everybody should play the roles that they're best at playing. And when you put somebody, it's like, you know, Joe, it's like if they put Big Papi at shortstop.
Right.
He didn't belong at shortstop.
Right.
And, you know, I think everybody's got to learn the role they're supposed to play and play to their strengths. And I don't think that the way this whole legal team has been run, and I say this in the book, has played to people's strength and has been to the president's benefit. It's in fact been to his detriment.
So you've said at times you're not helping yourself, you need to stop, and he has not listened.
That's correct.
Is he like that with his foreign policy team and with everybody else?
Well, I've been in those meetings, but I can tell you there are times when he does listen to me.
Okay.
He has not listened to me on, like, don't tweet and stop calling it a witch hunt and don't do that stuff because it's not helpful. There have been other times where I've given him suggestions where he has listened. For instance, you know, I recommended Chris Wray to him for FBI director. And he followed that advice, met Chris, liked him, followed that advice, and I think that Chris has been one of the best choices he's made since he's been president. And I think Chris is going to show, you know, you saw him with what he did during the shutdown. He's trying to rebuild morale at the FBI. He's trying to rebuild a sense of esprit de corps there and a sense of mission.
He stands up to him when he needs to.
And he stands up, but Chris is a stand-up guy. And, you know, you need more people like that in government everywhere. So there have been times he's listened to me, and Chris Wray is one of the examples I can give you.
All right, we have a lot more with Governor Chris Christie. We are going to actually bring out a guitar, and he is going to do.
You're going to play, right? Can I sing?
No, Chris is going to play Rosalita, acoustic style.
We'll look back on this as someday it'll all be funny.
Okay, we'll be
But for
right
now,
back with more
you're
with Chris
mad.
Christie and Let Me Finish.
Mika's title.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.